Hello and welcome to New Central Television. I am Lekan Onabanjo. The top stories at this hour. Nigeria reopens land and air borders with the Republic of Niger. Mother of missing South African girl withdraws bail plea. Rwandan court maintains election ban on opposition politician. Details to come your way shortly. We begin the news at this hour in West Africa, where President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria has announced the immediate reopening of the country's land and air borders with the Republic of Niger, along with the lifting of other sanctions imposed on the country. The decision follows the directives of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government made during an extraordinary summit held in Abuja on February 24, 2024. At the summit, ECOWAS leaders collectively agreed to lift economic sanctions against several West African nations, including the Republic of Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea. Additionally, President Tinubu has authorized the lifting of financial and economic sanctions against the Republic of Guinea, signaling a broader effort towards regional cooperation and normalization of relations. The decision is expected to foster improved diplomatic ties and facilitate economic activities between Nigeria and its neighboring countries, promoting stability and prosperity in the West African region. Away from that, we'll tell you that the federal government has indefinitely postponed the highly anticipated launch of the Nigerian Students' Loan Scheme in a surprising turn of events. The Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, Akintunde Sawyer, revealed this development during an interview, sending shockwaves across the education sector. Originally slated to commence between September and October 2023, after President Bola Tinubu signed a bill in June 2023, which proposed interest-free loans for higher education, the launch has faced multiple delays. President Tinubu, while addressing leaders of the National Association of Nigerian Students, had outlined plans for the scheme's commencement in January 2024, incorporating additional features like vocational studies. However, a few hours before the scheduled launch, Sawyer disclosed that the program's rollout was postponed due to necessary corrections being made. Now, tension between Heineken Lokpobiri, who is Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, who doubles also as chairman of the Governing Council of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, and the Executive Secretary of the board, Felix Obe, is heating up with the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, NCDMB branch, shutting down operations. In a letter to Obe on Monday, March 11th, signed by the chairman, Benson Inifie, Secretary Simeon Isikpe, and Industrial Relations, Yagwe James, served the notice that they would be proceeding on strike over the seeming impasse between Obe and Lokpobiri. The union said its indefinite strike will continue pending the resolution of the issue surrounding the redeployment of staff. Now, to discuss this further, I'm joined by an economic analyst, Balawan Olojede. Thank you so much for joining us on the news. So, I want to believe you can hear me anyway. So we see a growing... okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Of course, I can. So now we see a growing tension between the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lokpobiri, and the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Felix Obe, over the issue around redeployment and promotion of staff. This is clearly an internal crisis, and one would want to ask the question, should such an issue even degenerate into industrial action in the first place?
It's an unfortunate situation because what we're seeing right now is what could have been an internal organizational issue that could lead to an industrial action that will affect a wider spectrum of the society. The agency itself is a federal government agency. If it goes on an industrial action, the impact is on the government as a whole. and the rest of us. So it's something that I believe is avoidable, especially in this season of fragile economic situations and a lot of other things. The actors should rather sit down and iron this thing out and prevent the issue of industrial action at this time.
So it's quite interesting because a letter was actually issued to the executive secretary, that is Felix Odbe, detailing what powers each particular position should have and why he should not usurp the authority of the chairman. And according to what was pointed out in the Nigeria Oil and Gas Industry Content Act 2010, it does not empower the executive secretary to redeploy or appoint management staff. So, of course, we need to also understand, are there any valid interpretation to the act as regards the powers of the chairman and what the powers of the executive secretary should be? And, of course, the influence these leaders should have on whatever appointment or policy direction this particular part of government should do?
Well, interestingly, none of the actors has the power to interpret law in Nigeria. Neither the lawmaker who is in charge, nor the executive secretary, nor Labour, none of them has the power to interpret the laws of the land. Where there are contests about what the law says, it is the role of the judiciary to do that. So the expectation will have been that one of these parties will proceed to that authority that has the right and competence to interpret the laws of the federation. And the court will lay it out clearly, and that will settle the matter, rather than this approach that the actors are taking right
now. Okay, so now, how do you think this ongoing rift between the minister and the executive secretary could turn into? What do you think it could spiral into? Because we know that Pengassin plays a strategic role when we look at the oil and gas and including the energy industry in Nigeria. Can Nigeria afford another situation that could negatively impact this sector?
I am just hoping that the intention is, even if there's going to be a strike at all, it will not extend beyond the Nigerian Content Development Commission and not into several other areas where Pengassin could exercise its influence through strike action. However, even the one within that commission is preventable. That is my take. Whatever the context is right now, the actors can iron it out, especially since the subject matter is something that is defined within the laws. So they can say down, this is what the law says, you do not have the right to do this, this is what you can do, this is what you cannot do. And they can come to an agreement. Where it is impossible to come to an agreement, then they should go to the court. And while the court process is going on, it is expected that parties will maintain status quo ante and keep it as that. So I just hope that they will look at the fragile nature of where we are right now, and the actors can come together and resolve this without any industrial action. And if there must be industrial action, that will not extend beyond the content development.
Well, Dola Olojede, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. We appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's also tell you that the Nigerian Senate has suspended fellow lawmaker Abdul Ningi for 3 months over claims made by the lawmaker that about 3.7 trillion naira was inserted into the nation's 2024 budget. This followed a heated debate on the floor of the Senate, where some lawmakers say Ningi had brought the image of the Senate to disrepute following its allegations against the upper legislative chamber. Amadine Uyi tells us more.
It was a chaotic session on the floor of the Senate. Lawmakers took turn to express their view over the allegations by Abdul Ningi, who had claimed that the Senate had padded Nigeria's 2024 budget.
I think would be Senator Ningi, who I respect a lot, has a duty even to his own children. that he will not be the man who will be reported in the front pages of newspapers and electronic media all over the world and say something that he found out is not true.
Allegations have been made against Senator Abdul Ningi. I think it's only fair for us to give him time or to give him chance to defend himself.
This thing has happened. It has happened. And Ningi was wrong. I told Ningi in here that he made a mistake, that he should stand up and apologize to us first, then apologize that, look, this even figure that I'm looking for 3 trillion is here.
What my big brother, distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi, who I respect so well, planned to do or set out to do was tantamount to a civilian coup.
I have here a copy of the last 3 budgets that was passed, 2021, 2022, 2023. All the details of these agencies I've mentioned are not contained in this document. So for my brother who have put up a consultant to look into these budgets and have reported that 25 trillion was approved by the Senate, it's not been fair to the Senate.
Though many lawmakers were upset, Senator Ningi was given an opportunity to defend himself.
Please, can you allow me to, Mr. President, perusing through the budget. First, we discover bogus anomalies of repetition. We discovered some senatorial districts in this particular document. Some senatorial districts have up to 120 billion.
However, the Senate took a voice vote where majority voted for his suspension.
The Senate hereby places distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi on suspension in respect of his vituperations, falsehood, and unverified report in the BBC interview, including other media or houses, and is therefore suspended for a period of 3 months from partaking in events in the Senate or being found in the precincts of the National Assembly for the next 3 months.
Senator Ningi, who was also accused of using the platform of the Northern Senators Forum, resigned from the position following the suspension by the Senate. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
And in Nigeria's lower legislative chamber, the bills for an act to expunge imprisonment punishment for anyone caught attempting suicide, the establishment of a bank for the nation's mining sector, and establishment of a tertiary medical center in Cross River State, southern Nigeria, have all passed second reading. The 3 bills, which were considered for the second time on the floor of the House of Representatives, were passed after a voice vote by lawmakers.
First among the 3 bills that passed the second reading is a bill for an act to amend Section 327 of the nation's criminal code, which provides a 1-year imprisonment for any person who attempts to commit suicide. Despite suicide being regarded as a mental health condition by the World Health Organization, it is finally getting the attention of lawmakers.
We should use our privilege as lawmakers to harmonize the laws in such a way that the Criminal Code Section 327 is amended to ensure that those who attempt suicide are rather given psychosocial counseling.
Also, the bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Mining Development Bank, which, according to lawmakers, will provide financial support, promote investment, and the development of the nation's mining sector.
A pivotal focus emerges on fostering inclusive growth, thereby amplifying its societal impact. This bill purposely extends a supportive arm to individuals, cooperatives, and companies actively involved in mining activities.
The average banking outlet that will actually require you to, in some cases, exhume the grave of your grandmother before they can give you a loan, do not take into cognizance the high risk factor that is involved in this sector. To this end, we need a special purpose vehicle.
The last of the three bills is the bill for an act to amend the Federal Medical Center Act and establish a federal medical center in Cross River State to provide access to health care for people living in Boki local government area of the state.
The nearest tertiary medical center to Boki local government is 4 hours, that is in Abakaliki, and 6 hours in Calabar, the state capital. So if somebody is sick, there is a tendency that before the person is taken to these centers, something else may have happened to the person.
The bills which received support from lawmakers were passed after a voice vote and will now be referred to their various committees for more input. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Angry traders at the Wuse market in Abuja have accused the Nigeria police force of being behind the fire incidents that razed a section of the market earlier today. The traders, while also accusing the police personnel attached to the mobile court at the market, alleged that the fire started when a tear gas canister shot in the air by the police landed on the rooftop of one of the shops and started the fire. They say a young unidentified man was killed by the police, which earlier sparked the protest. Property worth millions of naira were razed by the inferno, which was finally put out by the FCT fire service.
This issue of tear gas in the market is wrong. This tear gas, they have thrown this I have seen it for the first time. They throw the one is back of here in a woman's shop. The thing landed on top of the roof, burst the roof, and people were inside the shop as if it were a bomb. Now this is the second one now, and this one now. See, look at how the damage is. A lot of billions has been wasted.
What really happened is a young guy that is hawking pouch inside the market. So he went and pissed somewhere, and the task force hold him captive. And before you know it, they took him to the police station. Then today is the day that they normally took people to the court. So the guy now have the opportunity and escape. And while running, they now shoot the policeman now shoot the guy.
If these people have come, this market would have been. Nobody would have expected what would have happened. So let's give kudos to them. Julius Berger, FCT firefighter, they did a wonderful work. And that is why they were able to context it. Not because I'm the lucky one, but they did a wonderful work.
Those market boys, they are hustling inside market. So as the hustle now, that starts for this side the market. So they used to disturb all those guys that are hustling. So as the police come now, they task force come order police to shoot one guy inside market, the guy that are hustling. They now shoot the guy flat. As they shoot the guy flat, that is where riot starts. That is where riot starts. As riot starts, those police inside market, they came. They started shooting tear gas. And then, because of the tear gas, now tear gas from up enter the room.
I went to say to eat. On my way back, my boy called me that there's problem in the market, that task force people had issue with some guys that hustle and they shot someone. The next thing, another person called me that my shop is on fire. Over 30 minutes, I was outside begging the policemen to allow me have access to the market so that I can at least see if I can open my shop to bring out some things. Over 30 to 40 minutes, they didn't give me access.
You're watching News Central now. A break will do here. When we return, we'll bring you more stories. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying with us. Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has formally declared his intention to contest the November 19 governorship election in the state. He made the declaration at the Gani Fayemi Arcade ground in Akure on Tuesday. Aiyedatiwa, who became the governor of the state on December 27, 2023, following the demise of his principal governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, will be contesting the governorship ticket of the All Progressives Congress at a primary coming up in April. Speaking at the event, Aiyedatiwa said he sought to retain the governorship seat to continue from where his late principal stopped, particularly in the area of welfare for the people, infrastructural development, and security of the state. So joining me to discuss this from Ondo, talking about Ondo's governorship election, is a lawyer and a political analyst, Taiwo Ojomo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So first, what do you make of Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa's intention to run for the governorship position in Ondo State?
Thank you. First and foremost, I think it's well within his constitutional rights to aspire and to declare his intention to contest. And secondly, of course, as of today, he's the governor of Ondo State. And so if anyone is more, there's nobody that can be more qualified than him at the moment. And then, like you said, one of the interviews he granted, I think on TVC, he said that nobody would want to be governor for a year. So yes, like I said, it's well within his rights to so declare and to contest.
So now we see that Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa had come out to say that he knows that the late governor, that is Rotimi Akeredolu, had the desire to have him take over the reins of power in Ondo State. But then there's a certain aide of the late ex-governor, that is Richard Olatunde, who came out to say that whatever it is that the governor said was a lie, and that is not the anointed candidate of the late governor of the state. So what do you make of this particular statement?
Yes, well, thank you. It is neither here nor there. Let me begin by saying that the fact that Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, who was formerly the deputy governor, was chosen personally by the late governor Rotimi Akeredolu as his running mate, that was in 2020. Yes, in 2020, alone suggests that, or suggested as well then, that the governor liked him as a person. The late governor liked him as a person, and perhaps he trusted him. But if you look at the events or chain of events leading to the demise of the former governor, a lot of things happened. A lot of issues, came up. There was issue of disloyalty. There was issue of all manner of issues, political crisis here and there. And so it is believed by some people who were close to the former governor that towards the end of his stay, as governor, or towards the latter part of his years on earth, that the position changed. Because you will recall too that there was a time, and that should be about 3-4 years ago, when Governor Akeredolu was very much alive. He did openly express his intention to see a day where Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa would succeed him as governor. But some people have argued severally, especially the aides close to the late governor, that that position changed at some point. That the late governor, that the present governor was not the anointed of the late governor shortly before he died. Yes, so like I said, it's neither here nor there. It depends on which side you are standing.
So does that not fuel the speculations that we're hearing that the family of the Akeredolus and some supporters within the APC party are not really in support of the candidature of Aiyedatiwa? And do you think that might have any relevance or influence the possibility of him not only contesting but also clinching the ticket in the States?
Yes, of course. If you look at all the facts, if you try to put all the puzzles together, I think it is apparent that many of the aides of the former governor, and of course the immediate family of the former governor, might not be supporting the present governor. You will recall that not quite long, maybe about a week or 2 weeks ago, the wife of the former governor, Her Excellency Betsy Anyanwu Akeredolu, she wrote on social media, speaking of the niece of late Akeredolu. I think she had an issue with the niece of Akeredolu supporting openly Governor Loki Aiyetidawa. That alone is enough pointer to the fact that the Akeredolu family, I'm talking about the Day family, may not be fully in support of the new governor for a lot of reasons. I think some of those reasons have been mentioned earlier. Now, whether that will affect the emergence as governor is another thing entirely. I've said this on this platform before, and
okay.
As governor, the governor carried a lot of power. Hello, are you very much with me? Yeah, the governor, being the incumbent governor, has a lot of powers. First and foremost, he supersedes or he controls the structure, the political structure of the state. Particularly because APC is also the ruling party. And so, as you can see now, just yesterday when he declared his ambition to contest, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, who was one of the people who were at the forefront of the impeachment saga, it was the one who said that, who spoke on behalf of majority of the members of the House of Assembly, saying that 18 lawmakers out of the 26 are very much in support of the governor. Here was the same speaker who was vehemently bent on impeaching the governor, who was then the deputy governor. So in politics, a lot happens in politics. A lot can change. Like they always say, 24 hours is a very long time in politics. So whether that will affect the chances, I doubt. If you ask me, I think since it's going to be a direct election, primaries rather, where everybody will be allowed to vote, every APC member will be allowed to vote. I think the governor, having the power of incumbency, is in control of the structure of the state, APC structure. And so that alone gives him an edge, if you ask me.
Okay. Taiwo Ojomo, it was nice talking to you. Thank you so much for your contribution.
All right. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Now to some health matters. The need for a paradigm shift in addressing the problem of brain drain in Nigeria's health sector has been emphasized. Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, who termed the shift as circular brain gain, says it could focus or should focus on circulating intellectual capital both physically and virtually worldwide. Professor Abayomi, who was speaking at an event in Lagos, said in line with this concept, the Lagos State is investing in upgrading essential components of the healthcare system to transform the healthcare sector into a magnet for talent and to position itself as a hub for healthcare innovation, ultimately reversing the brain drain trend.
A lot of strategies in place to tackle that. When trying to be less concerned about brain drain and be more strategic about what we call the circular brain or brain gain, the ability to circulate our intellect both physically and virtually across the world. Lots of Nigerians want to come home, and they're beginning to see that enabling environment that this government is establishing in Lagos State, and we're very happy about that. Because, we don't want to be responsible for people coming. We just want to create that space that is attractive. Physical infrastructure, a lot of attention to our human resources for health, improved diagnostics, diversification, good regulation, enticing and enabling and providing an ecosystem that is attractive to the health sector.
And now, in furtherance of the celebration of Women's History Month, advocates and health experts have continued a course to raise awareness about women health-related issues. Infertility and reproductive health are on the front burner of awareness programs targeted at women's health. And in this report, News Central's Adeshewo Dushoga explores why.
Growing up in Africa, childbearing is considered one of the most important events in a family, as motherhood confers social status on women, and when a family is without a child, there are undeniable issues. Infertility, or rather reproductive health crisis, is growing among African women, and this has been tied to different factors such as PCOS, fibroid, ovarian cyst, pelvic inflammation disease, endometriosis, and hormonal imbalance, among others. Polycystic ovary syndrome, otherwise known as PCOS, is the most common gynecological endocrine disorder in Africa, affecting women of reproductive age. Nzala Zamani is a 30-year-old epidemiologist who has been living with PCOS for more than 10 years.
We are in Africa, and one of the main things that could make you an object of ridicule is from the fact that you cannot give birth to children. So one of the main notion about PCOS that a lot of people know is the fertility aspect. Meanwhile, the fertility aspect is just one of plenty, because as a woman with PCOS, you can get down with other disease conditions.
While infertility is now becoming a common challenge for African women, with a growing community of women who are trying to conceive, Dr. Tokpe Akinola, a gynecologist based in Lagos, Nigeria, says the major cause of different types of infertility in women is yet to be diagnosed.
No one up to now has been able to prove the exact cause of endometriosis. You know, it's called, there's all called theories of endometriosis, different theories, you know, of retrograde menstruation theory, metaplasia, you know, other medical jargons. People are trying to find out what causes endometriosis.
He also called for the need to increase diagnosis of male infertility to increase awareness and reduce societal myths.
Male infertility now is approaching as high as 40%, especially even in urban cities. A man may not have a reason to have a sperm analysis collected all through your life until you are trying to get somebody pregnant, you're not getting pregnant.
One of the remarkable breakthroughs in infertility is the introduction of in vitro fertilization, also known as IVF, which presented itself as a cure-all solution, recording so many success stories. However, gynecologists like Dr. Akinola have said processes like IVF are also bound to fail for patients with womb-related health challenges. In Lagos for News Central, Adeshawa Odushoga.
Let's head up north, where gunmen on Tuesday launched a brazen attack on Kaduna State's Kajuru district, abducting numerous individuals, adding to the escalating insecurity gripping the region. The abduction spree started a few days after the shocking kidnap of over 250 pupils from a school in the same vicinity, intensifying concerns over the safety and security of the residents. As security forces continue their efforts to locate the missing pupils from Kuriga village, reports emerged of gunmen descending upon the village in the early hours of Tuesday. State lawmaker Usman Danlami Stingo revealed in an interview that the assailants seized 32 women and 29 men in the raid. These successive large-scale abductions pose a significant challenge to President Bola Tinubu's administration, which has pledged to address insecurity while grappling with economic hardships and striving to attract investment to Nigeria. But now go on a short break. We still have more stories to come your way in a bit. Don't go away. In neighboring Niger Republic, a United States general and high-ranking official have embarked on a crucial visit to the West African country, aiming to engage with the military junta following the ousting of elected leader Mohamed Bazoum. The delegation's mission, spearheaded by General Michael Langley of U.S. Africa Command, marks a renewed effort to establish contact after the coup and subsequent political upheaval in Niger. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken's previous visit to Niger in March 2023 underscored the nation's growing significance as a strategic partner for the United States and its European allies in the Sahel region. However, recent events, including successive coups in neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso, have reshaped the geopolitical landscape, prompting the need for swift diplomatic engagements. Let's now head to the Rainbow Nation, where South African police authorities have apprehended a suspect in connection with the tragic murder of 3 Egyptian Coptic Orthodox monks within a church. In a statement released by the South African Police Service on Wednesday, it was confirmed that a 35-year-old man had been taken into custody. He is slated to appear before the Cullinan Magistrates Court on March 14, 2024. The gruesome incident unfolded in Cullinan, located 50 kilometers northeast of Pretoria, where the monks met a tragic end. According to the police, 3 victims succumbed to stab wounds, while a 4th managed to escape after being struck by an iron rod. The motive behind Tuesday's fatal stabbings remain shrouded in secrecy and mystery, leaving communities shaken and seeking answers. In the meantime, the mother of a missing 6-year-old girl charged with trafficking and kidnapping has abandoned a plea for bail, sending shockwaves through South Africa. Tensions ran high outside the Vandenberg court as the police deployed tear gas and stun grenades to disperse protesters amidst the latest developments in the case of Jocelyn Raqueline Smith's disappearance. Raquel Smith, the 33-year-old mother, was arrested last week along with 3 others, including a boyfriend, amid allegations of involvement in the trafficking of the missing girl. Jocelyn has been missing for nearly a month since vanishing in Southern Har Bay, a fishing town north of Cape Town. Despite extensive search efforts and widespread public outcry, she remains unaccounted for. The case underscores the troubling trend of child abduction in South Africa, where crime rates are among the highest globally. In the east of the continent, a Rwandan court has upheld the decision to bar opposition leader and government critic Victor Ingabire from contesting the upcoming presidential elections in July. The court cited previous convictions for terrorism and genocide denial as grounds for her disqualification. Speaking in an interview after the verdict was announced by the Kigali High Court, Ingabire labeled the ruling as clearly politicized and criticized the lack of judicial independence in the country. She reiterated her stance against what she perceives as biased legal proceedings. A vocal critic of Rwanda's long-standing president Paul Kagame, Ingabire endured 8 years of imprisonment before being granted a presidential pardon in 2018. With the polls slated for July, Kagame is widely anticipated to secure a 4th term in office following controversial constitutional amendments that could potentially extend his rule until the year 2034. From other continents, we tell you that President Vladimir Putin has warned the West that Russia is technically ready for nuclear war and that if the U.S. sends troops to Ukraine, it would be considered a significant escalation of the conflict. Putin, speaking on Wednesday, just days before a March 15 to 17 election, which is certain to give him another 6 years in power, said the nuclear war scenario was not rushing up and he saw no need for the use of nuclear weapons in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine has triggered the deepest crisis in Russia's relations with the West since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, and Putin has warned several times the West risks provoking a nuclear war if it sends troops to fight in Ukraine.
С военно-технической точки зрения мы, конечно, готовы. Они у нас постоянно находятся в состоянии боевой готовности. Это первое. А второе, и это тоже вообще признанная вещь, наша триада, ядерная триада, она является более современной, чем любая другая триада. А таких триад только вот у нас, да, американцев, на самом деле. И мы здесь продвинулись гораздо больше.
We also tell you that the United Kingdom has introduced a ban on healthcare workers bringing dependents to the country, aimed at reducing migration levels and preventing abuse of the immigration system. The decision seeks to prioritize British talent and encourage businesses to invest in the local workforce rather than relying on migrant labor. Interior Secretary James Cleverly, who is spearheading the plan, estimates that the measures will result in 300,000 fewer people immigrating to the UK in the coming years, aiming to align salaries with the average full-time salary for relevant jobs and reduce dependency on migrant labor. Now, a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is still nowhere in sight as more than 2 million people in Gaza enter the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh has blamed Israel for stalling ceasefire talks and rejecting Hamas's demand to end the war on Gaza, but said the group is still seeking a negotiated resolution. Haniyeh said Israel had not yet given a commitment to end its accord. Looking at the reports, Hamas has agreed to a revised version of a ceasefire proposal, but put forward by the United States. Meanwhile, representatives of Hamas are preparing to travel to Cairo for further discussions to finalize the details of the proposed ceasefire agreements.
If there will be a ceasefire, it wouldn't mean peace, neither to the Israelis nor for the Gazians, because Hamas will grow again, will control Gaza again, and Hamas is not interested of the well-being of the Palestinians or the Gazians. Hamas is interested in killing Israelis. It has said that very, very clearly. So Hamas is not interested in a ceasefire. Hamas is interested in surviveness. Israel is interested in defeating Hamas and bringing back the hostages. If there will be a ceasefire, how can we bring back?
Now, residents of Port-au-Prince have welcomed the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who was pushed out by gangs that have plunged the Caribbean country into renewed violence and chaos since last week, leaving public services shattered, many people displaced and bodies strewn on the streets.
Combler espace vide là, qui va faire transition, qui va créer possibilité pour qu'il y ait une bonne élection. Ouais, c'est international là, la remettre des missions. Mais pas ici, c'est que tant qu'on est Ariel Henry pas chef, et nous-mêmes nous continuons sur le même lancé. C'est des décisions pas ici qui pour venir installer un président, un premier ministre pour diriger le pays.
Mexicans have protested after the disappearance of a well-known journalist and broadcaster missing in western Jalisco state. The state prosecutor's office said Yem Barrera is thought to have been abducted by unknown persons after leaving a radio station where he worked in the city of Guadalajara. Prosecutor Luis Joaquin Mendez said at a press conference that investigators suspect that he was taken in a violent manner, apparently by 3 or 4 subjects. Mexico is one of the world's most dangerous countries for the press.
Hoy nos reunimos en solidaridad ante la desaparición de nuestro colega periodista Jaime Barrera. Su ausencia nos duele en lo más profundo de nuestro ser, pero también nos llena de indignación y determinación para exigir justicia. Todas las desapariciones duelen, la inseguridad duele, pero es más vulnerable cuando se trata.
Talking to business now, 4 years, the Apapa axis of Lagos gained notoriety for its traffic gridlock, which had crippled commercial activities in the area and at the Lagos port. The gridlock was largely due to bad roads and the endless queue of trailers waiting to lift containers at the ports. In a bid to address this, in February 2021, the Nigerian Port Authority launched the electronic call-up system for trucks looking to access the ports in Lagos. The electronic call-up system, managed by Truck Transit Park Limited, is an app through which truckers are expected to book turns to enter the ports. The introduction of the system was greeted with widespread optimism, but how has the new call-up system fared since? In sports, Angola has been confirmed as the host of the Men's Afro Basketball Championship, scheduled to take place in August 2025. Angola beat Morocco and Egypt, who were also in the running to host the continent's most prestigious senior men's basketball tournament. The East African nation will play host to Africa for the first time since 2007 and the 4th time in the country's history, having previously hosted it 3 times, and that is in 1989, 1999, and 2007. We also tell you that Lazio manager Maurizio Sarri has resigned after a 5th defeat in 6 games in all competitions. Monday's 2-1 home defeat by Udinese left Lazio 9th in the Serie A, 7 points of the final European qualification place. They were knocked out of the Champions League last week by Bayern Munich. Sarri, who joined Lazio in 2021, led them to second-place finish in the Serie A last season, their best league finish since they won the title in 1999 and the year 2000. Assistant manager Giovanni Martusciello has been placed as the interim manager of the club. Sarri spent one season at Chelsea in 2018-2019 when he won the Europa League, finished third in the Premier League and reached the Carabao Cup final. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, we take a look at some of our major stories. Nigeria reopens land and air borders with the Republic of Niger. Mother of missing South African girl withdraws bail plea. Finally, we told you that Rwandan court maintains election ban on opposition politician. Don't forget to send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on your screen. You can follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekan Onabanjo.